Welcome to Game On with Bolabet Zimbabwe, a podcast where sport comes alive. In Tombiya Sport, I'm Veronica Gwaze, and thanks for tuning in. This is Game On with Bolabet. Just prove you know the game. We give you front row access to sporting excitement, be it swimming, athletics, cricket, rugby, and car racing. For those who love adrenaline rush just like me, this is your post, this is your podcast, this is your station. And unfortunately today the usual culprit is not here. My partner Tinashe Chikuse, he had a personal commitment. We just hope everything is going to be okay, and next week he's going to be back home. But today I brought you an exciting guest, someone who has been in the field, who has been in the trenches, played for Highlanders, played for Dynamos, played for the national team. So we are going to be discussing the various sport codes, especially football, with someone who has lived the experience. And welcome to the show. This is Munyaradzi Diya. How are you, Munya?
I'm alright, Vero. Thanks for having me here.
It feels so good when we see former players coming to visit on our podcast, so that you share with the world the experiences that you lived, the changes that you have seen in the game up to this day.
You know, it's always good to share your journey with your audiences and people that have lived to support you. But it's also good to give feedback to the fans, how we've gone through the journey, how we did it, how we're doing it, but most importantly, it's good to be alive.
Mangovanzwa rasta vari kutoda nhasi vari kutoda zvekutokudza ine zvegame. South Africa they call it idiski. Muna mazita makatombopawo here game rikandi chinongonzi chigame ndizvozvo chingenda zvakadaro.
Ya unongoziya chikurogeto.
Yes.
Toiti zhali. Zhali.
Money game zhali.
Saka ayo ile zhali kana kuti chikumba. Saka unongoziya kuti akakwandisa mazita acho kugeto, but haataingoti kuchikumba kana kuzhali. Saka
takazombonzwa vamwe vachitanzi rondo ngaitendereri.
Misconcept manje yevanhu manje, because rondo is already rondo ndo yataiti chums.
Yes.
Tichikura kuti mune mchingotamba mukadai wana achimaka. Saka chingori chirungu changochinjwa chete changonzi rondo, but hapana chinenge chambochinja.
Keeper, serious yamangarova ndo yamainyatsorova here muri between the sticks. Cannot it comes with being a goalkeeper. You need to be very attentive. What are some of your memorable moments, maybe, just to share with the viewers? Vamboziya the other side of Munya.
No, it's like, okay, even up to now, even as a coach, I was one of those players who can manage to take pressure away from others. I was always putting my jokes, throwing my jokes everywhere, just to make people happy.
Makachila zvokuti munhu akauzwa kunzi ndo dzakanda joke.
Unotondirambira, but manje pana mwani wachitoziva kuti handinhingi chete. But I think it comes with being a goalkeeper, because most of the time you're isolated. Ruwega pageti pepe. And
you need to focus.
But the focus yacho, it can be yakanyanyisa too much. You know, could distract. So that's why you find with my keepers, I want to try something. Kungo to ungorichi, will focus. But then I think goalkeeping is an art. You don't go down, go master. You have to do something. Like I think I learned a lot from Kapini. I learned a lot from Umbro, Mazarura.
Getting down to business, Munya, we just want to look at the previous weekend in the Premier Soccer League. Takaona the relegation matrix this season, it looks like we have been kept on the edges of our seats just up to the wire. Next week, the next match day is going to be the last day of the last match day of the season. So maybe just to understand, Iwewe, last weekend you were at Ngoni watching Dynamos battling it out against Yada Stars. That was a fierce relegation battle. You have been in these trenches. You have donned the black and white for Highlanders. You have donned the blue for Dynamos. Wakambeita away the season Munya during your playing career. Yekuti makashika up to the last day muchi fighter relegation, be it with Highlanders or with Dynamos.
Yeah, I once went through the process. I got relegated twice with Zimbabwe Saints and then with Blair City. It's not a good feeling knowing Kuti anytime I might face the drop. And you know, you won't play to your usual strength. Unengone pressure, trying to impress Kuti, maybe I might get a better offer elsewhere. But then that's the nature of football. Football is a pressure game. If you can't handle pressure border, then you're in the wrong spot. But having said that, I think the relegation battle this season has been the most entertaining rather than
the championship race.
The championship race. And couldn't my usual suspects relegation zone. But then you find good all of a sudden the big three were once in the relegation zone, save for Capes, just escaped. Happy for them.
But somewhere along the season, Vakatombo Kindao, I remember at some point.
Yes, and it's not good for soccer, especially. I always hear one complain about Boraredo Ariskunya Suita Shakanaga and stuff. But then it starts when the big three cough. Just because into any identity Pora. And whenever they're not doing well, if you still remember 2012, 2013, 2014, Dynamos Highlanders Capes were dominating. And you look at our national teams, and at some point that's when we went to Kuchan 2014. Team Edera loser muchi semi-final just because we were doing well, and the big three we were doing well in the Premier League. So whenever they are playing well, standard of football in our country, no it will say no sumga, but they haven't been doing well, which shows why we are there, and it's worrying.
And you talked about identity. You said the big three don't know identity as a footballing nation. So now when we get to a situation whereby currently the Warriors are in camp, we only have one player from Dynamos, that is Emmanuel Jalai. No one from Highlanders, no one from Capes United. What does that say about our football and that issue of identity at Tutalanisha?
No, Vero, that's the thing. Like I said, whenever these big three teams are not doing well, at some point. And then also the thing of our junior policy isn't doing very well. I remember when we were growing up, maybe I'm one of my players that had the privilege of playing from the national under 17, under 20, 23 up to the senior national team. But if you look along those lines, Kuti, taitamba kubva kuma juniors, and we knew kuti alright kuma under 17, I knew kuti ndikuno compete na washi kunani saka we knew each other, so it was always easy kuti from under 17 or under 20 mnongoenda muri group.
And that issue of having competition, you graduate through the structures, the maturity actually in any graduation through the structures.
Exactly. So you find good. It was easy and up to a point where good. Okay, my under 20 bulk of the national team under 20 was coming from Agatha Shenette Soccer Academy, which I grew up playing from, and you find good. I had Peter Mbaiwa twins. I had Onismo Mpasera, we had Ali Sadiki, we named them. But then we go to the national under 23. I was with those same guys again. You go to the first team, I was with those guys again. So you find good, there was continuity in between the lines. But then now you find good, at one point, national under 20 pane vanhu vakasiyana, under 23 pauya mumwe coach pane mumwe, zvinhu zvacho zvinenge zvichingoti there's no continuity. You find good even now, it's easy for my players kuti awane inonzichi awane ma national caps, but vamwe vacho they're not even earning them in a way kuti maybe vanenge vane lucky in between kana kuti but then do they earn the stripes to wear the national team jersey? That's number one. And are they being groomed to play on the big stage? That's number two. And also, do we have an identity as a country kuti tikuda kutamba so kana kuti every coach ari kuya nenonzichi philosophy yake? You find good all that factors that we need to look at.
And now that you talked about Nyayadzi national team caps, it takes us back. It takes us to our next story now. The Zimbabwe Football Association recently announced a new coach for the senior national team, Marinika, and the Super Marine. Now the Super Marine. So he was appointed and ended a 1-year contract. So with his first assignment being the AFCON, I'm choosing not to talk about the friendly matches because this is just a build up to the AFCON tournament. But the AFCON is the biggest tournament. That's his first major assignment. So looking at Super Marine, he came in to replace Mike Onis, who also came in not long ago. But now Marian is the first substantive head coach under the new Ziffa, because Mike Onis, if you remember very well, he was brought in by the normalization committee. So now, maybe if you can take us maybe through your understanding or maybe your take, your views about this Super Marian.
I think he is coming in per hot pot. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy being a Warriors coach.
Just 6 weeks before the AFCON.
And we've got our own expectations, but also there's our expectations and then there's what's on the ground. I find good. I just hope good panaita continuity in between, because you know good there's this tendency that every time Panoya new coach tries new things, like what I was trying to say, Pepe Kuti, do we really have our philosophy? Do we have our structure that we are continuing with this formation, so that transition actually it can be easy? Kuti, we're just moving into Marinika era, but the structure is still the same. Maybe it's got his own philosophy. The players were used to Nice, they will try to adapt, but I'm happy for him, and maybe that Ziffa also gave him a platform. He won my friend list before the big tournament, and I just hope they are given adequate time in camp so that he knows his players well, rather than just having 2 weeks before AFCON then Tovatainda, which is for me, I think we'll be asking too much from him, because Arkungo.
But looking at his coaching history, this is someone who coached Malawi at the 2021 AFCON, and then Liberia during the 2025 World Cup qualifiers, and was fired midway through the qualifiers. So when we look at his history, is he someone whom we can actually rally the fans? Let's raise our hopes high. We have a man whom we trust can take us. Because we have been to AFCON countless times in Zimbabwe, but we have never progressed after the first round of games. So is it now time for the fans to renew their hope? Tomboto, maybe this time China passed the first round.
I think given the support football is not only played on the field of
on the pitch.
On the pitch, but then football involve a lot, and be it admin side, be it preparations edu, because ku ground kwakwa ndo kwekupedzisira kunenge kwapolishwa zvinhu zvese, but everything has to be done background. I just hope it's given all the support and everything will sail through zvakanaka. And just looking at his record as well, you see kuti it did well for Malawi kwacho, it did well in Liberia, but can we give him the support that he needs? Can we give him the backup? Can we give him all he needs so that us as a country, for once, Tombo Pharaoh kana taenda ku AFCON, because it will be a big step on its own just to go beyond the group stage, and now that we were constant qualifiers ku AFCON, we need to break that jinx kuenda ku second round, so that now teta kutaura kuti okay tugara tiriko, but now takudawo kuita second round, but it needs our support as a nation.
But Munya, inini mubvunzo wangu ndewekuti, when we look at our recruitment yema coaches is Zimbabwe, the caliber of coaches, or maybe the level yema coaches atinozoita circle 4, and maybe even the entire recruitment process, because I'm looking at other nations whereby at national team level they go men hunting, head hunting, because they have a philosophy. So they know hunter a specific character whom they know kuti philosophy yake is going to dovetail what we want as Zimbabwe. But it's also when we look at our recruitment process and the characters that we then go to circle for. When we look at Supermarine, pa short list yake there were bigger names, but we settled for Supermarine. Atiskotora here isusa our football is Zimbabwe as a platform yatakutopa hedu mamwe makochi vakuda kuya kuzombotraya kudzoka zvavo kureviva kutraya kudzoka in the spotlight, tovati henyu uya henyu kuZimbabwe mungotraya kuita gembo mudzoke muspotlight.
Yeah, Vero, you've just raised a good question, but also, do we have the resources as a nation to hire top quality coach? That's number one. Number two, you mentioned, do we have a game model, kind of philosophy as a country that we say we are using this template for our Warriors? Those are very two important questions. Because do we have the money, or do we have the structure? Because it's easy if we have two issues, so that transition actually can be smooth sailing. And also, it's always easy if we were to pick a coach, is coming in actually also with a philosophy. Okay, talking about we are coming out of Miss Iran. We don't know Super Mario kuti anoda kutamba sei, anoita sei. Already patone tuji zvinhu zvakasiyana. Saka I think first things first, we need to have our own style of play, system of players as a country. That even when we are picking coaches, we know we are using this system. And also, pane continuity from this era, Nema assistants, so that you find we've had guys that played in the qualifiers. Now it's less than a month to go on. Are you in the team or not? That alone tells you a lot.
And if my clubs go away, how have they been performing in the last 5 games?
Exactly.
Are we able to keep tabs on that?
You see, we need that. We need to look at that as a footballing nation and be honest to ourselves. for the past 5 years, just 5 years, how many players have been given my national team caps? And are they deserving to be in the national team? Or they're just there just because maybe I know someone? Kanakuti.
So maybe on that issue, in the past 5 years, how many players have gotten my caps and did they deserve? And I think for me, it actually takes us to a very critical component here. And it's a must for every footballing nation. Having a national team, inema analysts, a panel of analysts who are working 24/7 on the job. If we want my stats, Marshall minutes, they have been keeping tabs with the past 5 games. How many minutes is minutes played for Wolves? And the fitness Zake Akamira say, what is it that he has done? The specifics, the analysts and it. And then these are some of the notes that you then need my analysts to give to my coaches that guides that informs them on the decisions to make. But when you look at Zimbabwe, I remember at some point where the Clinton Matiza, they in the background, we do have an analyst, I've forgotten the name, but also look at other nations, look at other teams. We have an Barcelona and 9 analysts on their team. But Iso says Zimbabwe, where exactly is our problem? And now that we have a coach aware, just 6 weeks before the AFCON, yes, all thanks to the friendly matches, but Ako guide Wane to set up this team.
You're touching on sensitive topics when it comes to the national team, and because if you look at that, do we have a comparison later? If I take this certain player, I put him into this league, anofita uife kana kuti munhu anenge angori average kana kuti anenge ari pachi. We need that, and we need, this one spoke of it, kuti atina data racho rekuti tonyazoziva kuti maplayers edu, how are they doing, which is worrisome. And you find kuti some of our players that are playing outside of the borders, they are not my regulars kuti my teams kwao, and also yakuna ukundo vanhu vachvaroita se anenge vachitemba now, but teta kushandisa template yekuti they've been there, they've done that, but maybe fitness kana chii, make fitness nechichi zvinenge zvakusiyana, which is a worrying factor, if you may ask me. But then this is where we are as a footballing nation. We are having too many shortcuts. So I remember at some point I went to watch FC Platinum versus Esperance who Papa Fields. They had about 14 coaches, right? But me being a goalkeeper, I was glued to box kwangu rema goalkeepers. They had 4 goalkeeper coaches, 3 goalkeepers. Box ma wangori 7. Saka kana wangori 4 goalkeeper coaches. Meaning go to ugwane 10 my goalkeeper, 10 my infield coaches. You just see the kind of setup that they have. Okay, kuna head coach with my goalkeepers. Then the other one is doing something, the other one is doing something, the other one is doing something. Then collectively they come up with something. But we look at our structure. Maybe at one point we had only 1 assistant coach.
Yes.
We don't have adequate preparations. Maybe like what we say, maybe it's my resources that are not permitting us. But also, I think some of these things, it's not my resources, but it's just failing kurungika pachezvedu as a nation, so that chungoziva toda kuita so toita so. But my number one issue ndeyekuti hatina continuity. Even you find kana uma clubs, okay, we spoke of say the last 5 years, and for instance let's take Dynamos. For 5 years they signed my players mangani.
Ende muchisaina vasina futi record yekwa vari kubva nako vamusingatongodzwisisi.
So maybe for 5 years panogona kana kusainwa kana kuti 100 players, which is not normal, because it already shows kuti hatina continuity. Nokuti where can we have kuti every season we're signing 20-15 players? In a normal setup we should be having kind 3-4 could beef up, but every time
mostly more rely on
the but like what we are saying, could you find good under 17 Kosafa there was a squad, and next year you find good maybe planning kana kuti pasina kana 1 Kosafa match kana kuti under 20 amuna vanhu vabva kuma under 17 and so forth. So it shows kuti kutotangira pasi apa tichitoenda kumusoro ndo pane problem, but my cry ndeyekuti we should have continuity.
I know as a former player and as a coach now, I noticed that makaita CAF coaching badges. Obviously football is a story that's so dear to heart for you. It's a sensitive story. But moving on, now Tombotarsa, the women football. I know you do follow women football a lot. And now here we have Rentals Queens. They are on the verge, not on the verge as such, they have won the championship for the 4th time on the bounce. What does that tell you about women football and Rentals as an institution?
First of all, congratulations to Rentals, my queens. I'm happy for their coaches. I was with them to Kapsi course, Data and Tsonki. Yes. I'm happy for them, good guys. But then to test a picture of it, they have the resources. They should be dominating, and they're doing that.
It's expected of them.
Exactly.
Because when I want to look at it, the issue of resources. When you look at it, Rentals, I think they are one of the 2 or 3 clubs. When we get a player from a certain club, we need to compensate them. But you know they do understand issues of compensating club. And for my queens, every week they do get their monies.
Exactly.
Which is not common in women football.
Like I said, Guti, they have the resources, but for me, I think they should. Champions League, twice,
yeah, twice. Yes,
in a row.
Qualifiers, yeah.
But I think they should be looking beyond that.
To make an impact.
Not that we are going to add numbers. With the resources that they have, with the players that they're getting from other teams, and the one to give that papa now, they continue it. Could the same squad, Bakungo Edera, Avas quit up, or some change, kind of Bauke, would so I just hope Kuti for next phase they'll go all the way to win it, just because and also they've been there Kakateza, so meaning would run experience, but now their next aim is to perform even better than what they were doing.
Yeah, I remember at some point I had a conversation with some of these players, the Rentals, especially the senior players. I think Honorable Benza, you went over to try and capacitate vana vai. Some of them vane tuma shops twavo town. Some of them they got residential stays vakatovaka dzimba vakapedza. So when we look at sport, not just a rentals, but when we look at sport in this light, yekuti mwana ari kutonotamba bhora and then akutokwanisa kutonovaka imba yake, how much is what the rentals is doing playing an effect panyaya yekumotivate younger girls?
You know, kuti growing up, soccer in the Marombi, and for women to be involved in soccer, unozwa kuti zvaitonetsa vabereki kumaraini and stuff, but look, football is business. It's a source of employment, and it's very rare. You know, kuti Zimbabwe now things are not very good, but if a girl child ari kukwanisa kuenda unotamba soccer and is making a living out of it, and also the pandemic drugs like we're facing as a country, and Maskana, they are not involved, we should applaud Honorable Benza for a good job, well done, for what he has done for the girls, not only for the girls, even for the men's team. Like, imagine kuti you're still mana kuchenge twopa day night, but then out of your kunzi kona the days go anzi kubhora ari kungonotamba kubasa aenda ubasa vane ma shops like what you're saying, vane mota vari kuvaka. I think they've achieved what maybe even my grades akazvitadza, but they are doing that, and ndo patinodzokera paipo like kuti Honorable Etano, be it is done so much for our Zimbabwean soccer, and Munu who should be recognized for the good deeds that he is doing for Anakutua Vilma streets. And I'm happy for the girl child kuti varikubudirira, varikuita something through football. And I'm also happy kuti I've had the opportunity to nobonobatsira angu maningi queens. You find good, they are trying. Ngoti zvinhu zvinenge zvakaoma, but they are trying. Vabatsira kupa vana ma scholarships kunze, and some of the girls are doing well outside of our borders. And you have my usual suspects, Lana, Rhinos, correctional queens and stuff. You find good, it's a source of employment kupora, yes, but they are also giving them an opportunity to further up their careers, be it kumabasa and stuff. They can have something to fall back on after their playing career, which is good. We are not finding kupi ku men's soccer, and women's soccer kwacho sometimes we went through that. To sign my contracts, mari dzedze adziwe
season inotopera
otozoenda, but then kana vanhu vakuzotoona pepe vakadya mari dzinenge dzisina kuuya mari dzedze. So we find good, that's why uzoona maplayers akawanda they struggle after soccer, because pamwe pacho unozonzi bad investment kana kuti vakadya mari
vaita zvemafaro, and yet you never really got the money.
Panenge pasina, but wakada kutarisa kuti tinenge tine pepa but mari iya haina kuuya, but wakada kutozoita maybe follow up, you find kuti maybe mari dzako dzakatobuda samwe pane mumwe munhu akatongoitawo sei. So it's unfortunate kuti those are the kind of things that most footballers face, but now that fazi yako yakumbobatsira vanhu nekuita sei, maclubs aakuita achitya, but even vakadaro vachitya kudaro they are still doing the same thing.
And I'm glad kuti at least this issue has been brought to the fore by a former player who lived the experiences, akanyatsozvi experience first hand, because sometimes when these things then come out in the media or when people decide to talk about this, there is that misconception yekunzi ava vanongotaura medium izive here kana kuti vanhu vari kurwadziwa and stuff. But at least now that you are someone who lived in these trenches, who understood these things, first-hand information, I'm glad with at least you brought some of these things to the fore so that people get to understand from munhu akazvirarama. So much to talk about when we look at sport. But you guys, I want to take you to Bolabet. Do you know that this is a safe space for you to bet? You can go and bet anywhere from our locations across the country.
Zvakafanana negame ire Real Madrid unokwanisa kutamba magoals enge ichiwinika tichibatwa zvakanaka muno. Unokwanisa kutamba maodds aunoda, unokwanisa kutamba kana 10 cents chaicho muno unokwanisa kuisteka uitamba zvaunoda, unokwanisa kutamba live. Bora richitambwa unokwanisa kutamba live zvaunenge uchida tiri muno muBolabet. Hapana chekuti unoti wewe ukawina aupiwa mari yako. Zvaunongosina kunzwisisa unokwanisa kunobvunza kukaunda zvese vanokwanisa kukubatsira vachikubata zvakanaka. Tine kamwe kanonzi kabhola helicopter kari keSkyward. Mirai ndikuratidzei kanonzi kabhola helicopter kari keSkyward. Ikako kamwe kagame kari kuwinisa. Izvezvi kutaura kunoku kane jackpot ririko aka kanonzi Jetex kane bonus futi re10,000 raunokwanisa kuwina izvezvi ukapinda ukakatamba.
Away from local football, I know kuti EPL munotongoida mudhara.
Manu.
EPL zvese La Liga zvese munoona zvese. Makazviona seya Manu, Wolves kuside uku. Tikati paCity neLiverpool apa I think pane hope vakarara nebhutsu musi uyu.
Vakawanda shamwari dzangu ana maketo vamwe vacho ana David Sengu anofunga kuti Liverpool na Desmond Maringo. Sorry, but I'm worried ne team yana mash.
Ye ready yana divine. Yenu nana divine. How do you see the future and how things have been going on for them, especially after this 3-0 defeat to Man City? How healthy is it going forward?
Well, with Liverpool, you can't really tell what's happening because they've got the same squad from last year, which won the championship, and they beefed up their squad. We're thinking we are now going a step ahead. I think they've taken 3 steps back. Should I take about because the players that they've brought in, Wachadaku Sedla, some won't hit the ground running. It will take time, and also panic transition, and also fact Guti Wachadaku Sedla, some won't hit the ground running. It will take time, and also panic transition, and also fact Guti. It's a new season, and among my teams that were not doing well, like Togon of Farad, Manu and stuff. I think this season, if we don't do better than among my seasons, I think we would have failed. Why do I say so? Atina Champions League. Makaps mangacho already tabudiswa. Tukonzerera nechi ne league. So you find good. Tinogona kuti things are not going well for Liverpool. I would say yes, I would say no. Why? Look, they just played to go Champions League. Nokajana Real Madrid varuita se. But kwawo kudo varuita se. So vanenge vachi kubalancisa kuti, but I think you are not as bad as people are portraying.
Just as we wind up about football, I know football fans are very passionate about this game. There's something a bit sensitive that I want to talk about. I know most people are not prepared to hear this, but we have a people's favorite locally, Dynamos. We've got Denver Mkamba, a man of the people. A player who knows that once he steps on that pitch, even if it is not going to give you a lot, but he always gets a standing ovation from the Vietnam stands. He understands what Dynamo's fans love. But there's that other side of Denver Mkamba that he has seen maybe his career going in circles kuva kudara. A Denver who is gifted, battling a Denver who has got a bad boy tag, Taylor, wherever he goes. And I think of late people had really felt that Denver is reformed and they started to love him again. But of late we have had reports now coming out again. But Mkomana is now back to his bad boy ways. Sometimes missing training, sometimes he comes late. And I think even from someone who follows Dynamos, you can see that even on pitch, in the past 3 or so weeks, things have gone down again. You are a former player. How difficult is it battling a bad boy tag, one, and two, what are some of the pressures dzinotozoita kuti munhu uyu aramba achitanga ari kubackpedala ari kudzokera futi kuzvinhu zvake zvekuda? Just in short as we wind up.
Yeah, unoziva kuti Denver is a generational talent yekuti maybe it will take time to see a player with these qualities. But you mentioned kuti bad boy tag. I think sometimes he enjoys it, and sometimes he gets away with it. But look, he's on the other side of age, and once he keeps on doing what he's doing now, it's never fun out that I'm emulating him. They want to be like Denver. And also the media, gonna go maybe they blow things out of proportion, or avasku budisa what's really happening. And you mentioned kuti he hasn't been coming to training. I've heard the reports as well that he hasn't been coming for training. But then his performance, and also I think Guti Scotland has said Guti they want him back. It's also another factor that Guti might have switched off.
He already sees himself back in that Scotland fold.
So I think it has something to do with him as an individual. Guti, what does he want to do? He had played well. He had played extremely well, and on that I was happy at some point. I saw Denver out sprinting run. Even in the game Remanika, he scored a beautiful goal against even Scotland. But I think Denver should associate himself that can lift him up, rather than ona zvakafanana even Vero wakatamba nevanhu vekuti vanenge vachingoti hairipo even you're doing the wrong things. Hapana zvanenge because moment iyo ndakakusapota vachiita zvinhu zvisirizvo because iwo ndiwe murungu wangu handi akada ndakakuti Vero hazisi kuita unokata matais kaundienda luza ini saka ndotongokuti even zvisiri right izvo ndeti zviripo. Saka I just think ama mind games futi Scotland yacho iri kuti iri kumuda. He switched off ku Dynamos. Vane crucial game, last game of the season.
I think we have talked a lot about football, local and international, and I think my fans, if there are any questions that you would like us to answer for you, even next week, you keep posting these questions on our socials so that we are able to sit down and give you the answers that you need. This is Bolabet. It's game on with Bolabet Zimbabwe. Just prove you know the game.